right, guys, what's up? I'm joined here with Josh Judge. Josh, what are you from? Is it Marion?
I'm originally from Olney, Illinois, but
Or you
down
live in Carbondale, don't you?
right.
Okay. Yep. So Josh and I met probably 3 or 4 years ago. We were doing so I've been an exterior cleaner for the last 10 years, and Josh had, I think that's how we met. You reached out and said, "Hey, can I come train with you for a day?" And
Yep.
so then we met, and now, it used to be that we would talk fairly often, but now this dude's so busy and his business is growing so rapidly that now he just pushes me off. He's got an assistant that answers every time I call, and I never even get to talk to him.
Uh,
But I brought Josh on to talk about kind of entrepreneurship and business and how he's transitioned from being a sole owner operator to now an owner and being able to work in his business, and just this dude is killing it, and it's so exciting to see from my standpoint, because he started with himself in a van, and now he's got how many guys you got? 4 or 5 full-time guys?
we got four full-time guys
Four
right now.
full-time guys, and as you can see, he's also in the Christmas light business with his background, and he's
Yeah,
getting ready to destroy that. So Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself. What made you want to become an entrepreneur?
sure. So back in 2013, I was still working in a print shop with my degree in graphic design, and just got real sick and tired of working for someone else, and decided I want to work with my hands and do something on my own. So fell back on some experience I had growing up working for a painting and pressure washing company. And my grandpa always owned his own small business as well, doing he installed antennas and alarms and vacuums for people. But he
Really?
always told me that he never worked a day since he was 35, when in reality he worked his butt off every single day, but just loved what he did. So I just decided to give the entrepreneurial life a little shot, and it's worked out well. Wouldn't have it any other way.
I think you bring up two good points. So you got sick and tired of working for somebody else. So how many people get to that point where they're sick and tired of working for somebody else, but never take action to do anything else? Like, what led you to actually take action and do something else? What made you sick and tired? Because I was the same way, and I was like, I'm done with it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's just kind of. I think certain people just have that extra drive to the drive it takes to really figure out that they can do it, and it depends on the people that you surround yourself with. Um, Being able to see that happen. So I had people like yourself, another friend of mine, Bennett Grove, out of Indianapolis, seeing that you guys were already operating your own business, and you were just a guy like me, and in your late 20s, early 30s, and I was like, I can do this. It's possible.
Yeah, that's
So
cool. And also, like what I think you said, it was your grandpa said he hadn't worked a day since he was 35. Like,
yeah,
so I started this when I was 26, and I can attest to that. Like, when you're out there working for yourself, like I've told my wife before, there are some days that aren't super fun, but I've never felt like this is work. Somebody asked me like, "Well, so
yeah,
since you own your own business, like you just get to make your own hours." I'm like, "No, not really." I'm like, literally. And so, like for us, if we wash 300 houses this year, I tell them like I have 300 different bosses, because I have
yeah,
to make sure they're all happy. And also, it's one of those things to where, and this, your phone will literally ring at all time of the day, night. You'll get text messages, and it's one of those things where if I'm responding to a text message at 9 o'clock at night, I guess that's still considered work, but I don't ever feel like I'm working. So I think do you feel that same way with not actually working?
yeah, yeah. It's like I saw someone describe it as not having a 9 to 5, but having eyes open to eyes closed, and that's very accurate. It's not like we're always grinding, going hard, but we're always clocked in to some extent. And
Yes.
yeah, it's a whole different level.
And with that said too, do you think that there's obviously you have to find some sort of a home work a life balance, because if not you can get sucked in, and I at the one point I got sucked in pretty deep, and I
Yeah,
was just running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And like, I know that you've got some small kids, I've got small kids, and it's like, and I don't, and it doesn't happen every night, but there's times where I'll take my phone and I'll just leave it out in my office and say it's family
yeah.
night tonight.
Yeah, that's been the biggest change this year, I would say, for the better, is that at the end of last year, I was at the end of my rope, and I was like, if we go another year like this, where I'm just 100% in the field, 100% doing sales, all this stuff, that something's going to break. It's either going to be me or my marriage or the business or something. So this last year, I made an extra effort to, once I come home at 4 or 5, whatever time it is, I just try to stop answering emails, try to clock out as best I can. It doesn't always work at 100%, but um, I used to just carry it all with me, carry it to the kitchen table when I came home and set up the computer and start, you know, continuing doing quotes. So it's been a struggle, but it's been a big relief.
Yeah.
It's been a good change in the right direction.
It's like we've talked about. It's so much better. Even if, so say you do bring it home and it's the computer on the table, you're doing it for yourself, and you don't have a boss saying, you have to take your computer home and you have to do this. Like,
Uh,
whenever you can decide to turn it on or turn it off, like, oh, dude, that's so much better. I don't have a timeline that, because there's sometimes where a buddy asks me, like, well, how do you do it? I'm like, well, here's the deal. Like, I understand that if I leave my computer at my office from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock the next morning, not a lot's going to change in those 12 or 14 hours.
yeah,
That customer may be like, why didn't you get back to me? I'm like, I was with my family. And they,
yeah,
they usually respect that, but not a lot happens in those extra 12 hours. But
yeah.
in my head, it used to be like, I was like, oh, the world's going to burn down if I don't get to this fire right now.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I was thinking of that yesterday. It's like, even though I haven't really been bringing it home as much as I used to, we're still doing fine. Like, we're still moving ahead. We're still growing. It's like, it doesn't really have to be hands-on 24/7 like you initially start out feeling like it does. Whenever you're, starting out as an entrepreneur, you're just like, gotta go, 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 go.
Yeah.
100% all
And
the time.
with that said, since you found that balance this year, have you incorporated, since this is called Structure You, have you incorporated any, habits or routines that have allow you to get set up to where you can have that balance?
It's more been just a mental decision of mine, just like just hold myself to it. When I come home, I just I just stop. It's just
Yeah.
been it's a ritual of just trying to not let my family see myself clocked in all the time, clocking
Yeah.
out
And how many kids do you have now? 2?
too. Yeah. So I've got
And
Jack, who's 3.5, and Silas, who's just turned 1 in July. So
nice. So yeah, so you got a lot of stuff going on at home too. So, and not to mention, all of your employees you have to babysit.
right, yeah,
So, for me personally, I've at the first 10 years of business, so last year I had 2 full-time guys, and it was nice, but I
mm,
found myself, golfing too much probably, and it's one of those things where for us, like, we kind of grew as much as we wanted to grow, and I didn't necessarily want all the headaches with the employees and stuff like that. And these guys weren't headaches; they were awesome employees. And
yeah,
so, and then one of them got a new job, and so I went back into the field, and I've kind of structured it this year to where I've got all my priorities in order, and work's kind of at the bottom of the list. With that said, I've kind of set myself up for, I don't want to say failure, but we took a step back because I also wanted to see if I didn't spend a dollar on marketing this year, what would happen. And so we've made a little bit less money this year, but I'm working like physical, like working hours is probably between 20 and 25 a week, which is a
yeah.
lot different than the 40 to 60.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And my life's a lot smoother and happier. And like I said, we've made less money, but I've got more in a bank account. I told my wife, I said, how does that work? How does that work? Because I'm not, it's just wild how it works once you set your priorities in order. But
yeah.
talk about what made you want. Was it just a necessity to go with employees? Did because when you started out, you were basically just the owner operator, and now
Mm.
you have all these employees. Like, what was the next step to get there?
I think it was just seeing the inevitable growth of the company and knowing that I couldn't bear the weight of everything on my
Yeah,
own. Um, and then once you kind of start adding more pieces to the puzzle of um, strong leaders in the business, strong people that you can rely on. You're like, wait a minute, now I can not just provide a great income for myself, but I can provide like a position where someone can provide for their family too. And so it's like, let's just keep adding pieces to that puzzle, and then it just kind of helps, exponentially grow things. So
Yep, that's awesome.
get
And I think too,
more
for me, when I first started, I had so many, I don't know if you want to call them mentors or guys that I had really looked up to in the community that had employees. And I think that it got beat into my brain. Don't have employees
hmm
because they're gonna screw things up. And so for a long time I had that beat into my head and I believed it. And it's not true. And these stories that people tell us sometimes just aren't true. And it's one of those things that looking back now, I'm like, should I have done this differently? Maybe, maybe not. But also now I'm in a phase of my life where I'm transitioning out of all this. And it's like, or should I step back in and just like you get something going on to where it's like, all I do is maintain.
hmm
But also, if somebody offered me the right price, I'd be out of here in an instant. You know what I mean? I got some cool other stuff I want to get done in my life.
Yeah.
But it's provided a great income for our family. And like would you have ever guessed that you'd make this much income owning a power washing company?
No, no, I remember thinking 10 years ago when I was going to school, like the income I'm able to make now wasn't even on the radar. Like I always knew that I would come close to anything like this. So yeah.
You thought you had to rob a bank to make that much money.
Well, shoot, man, I got a degree in graphic design, and then art education. Like I was not shooting for the big salaries, and I'd already convinced myself, probably some self-limiting beliefs, that it wasn't even possible. It wasn't even like something that I was capable of. So yeah,
And I
entrepreneurship.
think that there's a lot to be said there with self-limiting beliefs. Like how many of us struggle with self-limiting beliefs? I know what before I started this, I worked at a job where I had to wear a suit and tie, and I was like selling insurance, and I had made my salary at the time was like $36,000, and this was back, shoot, 15, 16 years ago. And I think that year I made like 50 grand, and I thought, dude, I'm big time now. And then I substitute that. I put that stuff away and I started a power washing company. And this local guy who'd been around forever said, "This was my best year ever. And I made $40,000 this year." And I was like, "Oh, I might have to go back to power water and back to selling insurance." But I was like, that's probably a self limiting belief that dude has. And I didn't know at the time what I was thinking. But then, and people would look at me differently. People would look at me like, "Well, you're filthy, you're dirty, you had this shirt and tie on over here making a lot of money. Now look at you." And I'm like, but if you only knew how much more or how much better it was to work for yourself to make the kind of income you can make, because of the $40,000, that was his belief. My
Yeah,
mental limiting belief was a lot more than that. We
yeah.
hit it, and yours is, dude. It's exciting to see. And I don't know if we can say this out loud, but I'm going to. Do you think you guys will make $1 million next year?
Uh, I don't think we'll hit it next year, but it finally seems possible. Within
It's coming fast.
yeah, it finally seems possible. So it's pretty exciting.
That is exciting. And
Yeah.
looking back now, is there anything you've changed over the course of this entrepreneurship and how you've done things?
No,
Started
no,
Christmas lights about 10 years earlier?
yeah, maybe, yeah. But I think my kind of whole mantra has been slow and steady. Like I've really tried to not push the gas too much at any point. Just kind of been slowly growing anywhere from 30 to 55% every year, and it's just been kind of slowly building that foundation. So no, I don't have any regrets about that.
Yeah. And I think that's the way you just put that. What a great way to grow a business instead of spending $100,000 on all this equipment and hiring employees out here out the gate that don't know what they're doing. And talking with you, I know that you've done that. You have training programs for your employees, which people will say, well, you need training programs for a power washer. But yeah, there's there's rules of the road that you want to follow along the way, and you want your employees to follow
Yeah,
so that they don't get into certain situations or not calling you every 5 minutes asking you questions.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's been a big part of it. It's just kind of helping slowly systemize those things, which is why I didn't want to push the gas too hard too fast, is I knew things could spiral out of control.
Yeah. And you think having systems in place has made a huge difference?
Yeah, it's everything. It really is. Yeah.
And I think that a lot of guys probably struggle with that, having systems, because that's the same way in our everyday life. You literally, like for me, it's my morning routine as a system that I have to follow every day to make sure that my day goes smoothly throughout the day. I have a system of things that I do throughout the day. Of an evening, I have an evening system that I follow. Whatever you want to call it, systems, routines, habits. It
Sure.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you got some. I mean, you got some good structure going on, man. I'm happy for you.
Well, thanks. It was, you know, I like. I don't like moderation. I like to go all in on something.
I know.
But so what advice you got for somebody that's on the fence? They want to kind of become an entrepreneur, just scared to take. How many of us are scared to take that first step? That first step of action. I don't care what it might not even be entrepreneurship. Maybe it's just. I mean, anything in life. And I'm going to start losing weight. Like, how do guys start taking action?
Oh man, I think you just gotta do some looking inward at yourself and decide whether or not you're happy with where you are right now. Once you decide that you're not 100% happy and that you think you can be happier, then there's no reason not to try. You got nothing to lose at that point.
And how long ago did you start this?
This is my 7th year.
Seventh year. Okay. Because I was going to say, a lot of guys they'll give you the excuse, well, I've got small kids or I've got this. And when I tell somebody, go ahead and just jump in, I'm not saying quit your job and
Sure.
do it systematically with small baby steps. I read this. Hold on a second. I read this quote this morning. I wrote it down and I threw it away already because I hadn't written it down. But radical transformations take time and require intentional, systematic processes.
There you go.
And I was like, dude, that is so spot on.
Hmm.
With that, the whole analogy of getting 1% better every day. Grow that business 1% today and
Yep.
just take small baby steps. Because, I talked to a kid the other day that said, well, I want to start this business, but I want to be making 100 grand tomorrow. I said, well, shit, don't we all?
Yes.
Isn't that the idea? But that's not how it works. Like you said, small baby steps and small growth will get you there. You're in your 7th year. By year 10, you're going to be making $1 million a year.
There's so many guys in the pressure washing forums, which I try to stay out of nowadays. But the guys that have been doing it for years and years, that started out with a full-time business, working afternoons and weekends, and they just kind of slowly built it up. And that's the way to do it. You don't have to go all in right off the bat. You can just kind of dip your toes in and work in your free time and grind it out and just kind of
Yep.
slowly
And
build.
obviously, we're talking about pressure washing business, but it's any type of business you want to
Yeah.
start. And
Yep.
I'm a big I like these customer service oriented businesses because customer service is just a thing of the past. And if you offer customer service people, and I know you guys do an awesome job at this, but these guys want to keep buying from you.
Mhm.
How many times do people ask you? I know they ask me, like, what else do you sell? What else can I buy from you? What else do you guys do? And I'm like, this is it. Like, well, if you guys add other stuff, let me know because I want to buy that too.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you're cool with customers and you can offer that great customer service, they're going to keep coming back and you don't have to worry. They're going to pay your bills for you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I don't care what kind of business it is. There's so many opportunities for different things. If you're willing to put in a little bit of that sweat equity, there's money to be made.
Absolutely.
And you get that time freedom.
Mhm.
Maybe not for you, but I got the time freedom, from it. But it's all what you want out of it too. I'm making less money than you are in this aspect, but I've probably got a little bit more time freedom.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
With a lot.
but also when you're year 10, you're gonna be sitting where I'm at somewhat, and you're like, okay, now I can sit back a little bit.
Hope so. Yeah.
Shoot, you're gonna be mentally retired at 40.
Sounds nice.
But well, Josh, any parting words of wisdom you got for us?
Man, I think if you got a dream, if you got something you're thinking about or been have in the back of your head that you kind of like to take a shot at, better just to do it than regret it down the road. Just give it a shot and do your best.
Awesome. Dude, sounds like you got kids. We're up on this Zoom call early. It sounds like you got some kids awake early too.
Hey, buddy, come here. Yeah, sorry, man. I got a
Oh, it's
little.
all good, man. That's what Structure U is about. We're all in here. We got families. That's funny.
Thanks for including me, Mike. I'm honored.
Josh, I appreciate it. Well, hey, you guys have a great day. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, see you.